It was a chilling morning when I woke up, my heart pounding as I glanced at the mirror. What stared back at me wasn't the face of a vibrant woman in her 40s. It was something far worse. My skin looked like crumpled parchment paper, dry and lifeless, with deep lines etched across my forehead. My eyes, once bright and lively, now sank into dark hollows, making me look decades older than I actually was. Panic surged through me. Is this really who I've become? I whispered to myself, tears welling up in my eyes. The realization hit me hard. I had been neglecting one of the most basic yet crucial elements of beauty, hydration. For years, consumed by work deadlines and endless responsibilities, drinking water became an afterthought. Caffeine-fueled nights turned into dehydrated days, and before I knew it, my body screamed for help. My skin felt brittle, flaky, and on the verge of cracking open like cracked desert earth. It wasn't just about looking old anymore. It was as if time itself had drained every ounce of vitality from me. During meetings, colleagues avoided eye contact, and friends politely asked if everything was okay. That's when it dawned on me. This couldn't go on any longer. If I didn't act fast, no one would recognize the person I used to be. Desperate for change, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Every morning I began sipping warm lemon water infused with honey, an elixir that promised renewal. I added slices of cucumber and orange to my meals, determined to nourish my parched body from within. At first, nothing seemed different, but then, slowly, miraculously, my skin started transforming. Within weeks, the dullness faded, replaced by a radiant glow. My cheeks regained their plumpness, and my complexion softened as though kissed by morning dew. Friends noticed too, commenting on how refreshed I appeared. I felt reborn, like I'd pulled myself out of a bottomless pit of despair. Hydration wasn't just a remedy, it was salvation. It was during a crucial team meeting that the words hit me like a thunderbolt. A colleague leaned over and asked, "Are you okay? You look like you've just been through a storm." Her tone was casual, but her words cut deep. I froze for a moment, my confidence shattering into a million pieces. Was I really that tired? That worn out? My reflection in the office window later confirmed it. My skin sagged, my face looked dull, and there were dark circles under my eyes that no amount of concealer could hide. It felt as though gravity itself had turned against me, pulling everything downward until I resembled someone far older than my actual age. Desperation clawed at me as I remembered all those nights spent slathering expensive creams onto my face, hoping they'd magically reverse time. Each jar promised miracles, firming, lifting, youth restoring, but none delivered. No matter how diligently I applied them, my skin remained lifeless, refusing to bounce back. I began to wonder if this was it, if I was doomed to spend the rest of my days looking like a deflated balloon. Am I stuck with this wrinkled, droopy face forever? I thought bitterly. The frustration weighed heavily on me, almost suffocating. Then one evening, while scrolling through an online beauty forum, a habit I'd picked up after realizing hydration alone wasn't enough, I stumbled upon something intriguing: facial massage. At first, I was skeptical. How could such a simple act possibly compete with high-end serums and treatments? But curiosity got the better of me. What did I have to lose? That very night, armed with a bottle of cold-pressed rosehip oil, I decided to give it a try. Sitting in front of my bathroom mirror, I warmed a few drops between my palms and gently pressed them onto my face. Following the instructions I had read, I used upward strokes, imagining I was lifting and sculpting my features. For 2 minutes, a mere 120 seconds, I worked methodically, starting from my forehead, moving down to my cheeks, and finishing with my jawline. The sensation was oddly soothing, like I was giving myself a hug. Day after day, I repeated the ritual, always before bed. At first, nothing seemed different, but then, slowly but surely, magic began to happen. My skin, once dull and tired, started glowing. Fine lines softened, and my complexion regained its youthful vibrancy. After just 1 month, I walked into another meeting, and this time, instead of pitying glances, I received compliments. "What's your secret?" my colleagues gushed. "You look 5 years younger." Even my boss noticed, commenting on how refreshed I appeared. Facial massage had become my lifeline, my fountain of youth. Not only did it transform my appearance, but it also gave me back something even more precious, my confidence. And as I stood taller, embracing the newfound energy within me, I realized that true beauty wasn't about fighting aging. It was about honoring the skin I was in and nurturing it with love. It was supposed to be a night to remember. A Myaomai Hepper, a glamorous event where I could finally showcase my best self. But as the photographer's flashbulb went off, freezing my image in time, I felt my heart sink. The harsh light illuminated every flaw on my face, magnifying what I had unknowingly been hiding under layers of powder foundation. My skin looked dry, patchy, and worse still, the fine lines around my eyes and mouth were glaringly obvious. It was as if someone had taken a paintbrush dipped in chalk dust and smeared it across my face. Every wrinkle, every dry patch, it all screamed for attention. And then came the stares. People weren't just looking at me, they were staring. I wanted to disappear into thin air. Humiliation washed over me like a tidal wave. Is this really how people see me? I thought, clutching my clutch tighter than ever. For years, pressed powder had been my go-to solution, my trusted ally against shine and uneven skin tone. Yet here I was, standing under those unforgiving lights, realizing that my once reliable friend had betrayed me. Instead of smoothing out my complexion, it had turned my face into a canvas of dullness and despair. I felt like a walking wax figure, stiff, lifeless, and utterly devoid of vitality. Tears threatened to spill as I contemplated fleeing the party altogether. That night, sleep eluded me. I lay awake replaying the scene in my mind, analyzing every detail of what had gone wrong. Then a memory surfaced. One of the beauty tips I'd read recently, but dismissed too quickly. Ditch powder makeup. Could it really make such a difference? Desperate for change, I decided to give cream-based products a chance. The next morning, armed with a tinted moisturizer, cream blush, and liquid highlighter, I embarked on an experiment that would alter my perception of beauty forever. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. As I applied the cream blush to my cheeks, I couldn't believe the result. It wasn't makeup, it was magic. My skin seemed to glow from within, as though I'd stepped straight out of a romantic movie. The soft pink hue blended seamlessly, giving me a natural flush that no powder could replicate. Gone was the mask-like heaviness of traditional foundation. Instead, my skin looked dewy, fresh, and alive. Even the areas I'd always struggled with, the redness near my nose, the slight discoloration on my forehead, were now smoothed over without looking caked or artificial. I stared at my reflection, astonished. This wasn't just makeup, it was confidence bottled up in a jar. For the first time in years, I felt comfortable in my own skin. No longer did I worry about whether my makeup settled into creases or accentuated dry patches. Cream-based products didn't sit on top of my skin. They worked with it, enhancing its natural texture while providing hydration. That day, I walked out of the house with my head held high, ready to face the world. Little did I know, this small shift would inspire even more changes in my journey towards self-love and timeless beauty. It was supposed to be a joyful moment, a family photo shoot to capture memories that would last a lifetime. But as I scrolled through the pictures later that evening, my heart sank. There it was, staring back at me. Two thin, droopy eyebrows that made my eyes look tired and sad. My daughter's innocent question from earlier echoed in my mind. Mom, are you sad about something? It wasn't just her curiosity anymore. It was a wake-up call. Those once full brows of mine had thinned out over time, losing their shape and arch, dragging down not only my expression, but also my confidence. I felt like I'd been living under a cloud of invisibility, unaware of how much my eyebrows were affecting my entire appearance. They weren't just framing my face, they were dictating my mood, making me look perpetually exhausted, even on days when I felt fine. Desperation crept in as I realized this wasn't just an aesthetic issue, it was personal. Am I doomed to carry these tragic brows forever? I thought bitterly. Every glance in the mirror reminded me of what I'd lost. The youthful lift, the vibrancy, the energy they used to bring to my face. Then came the turning point, a chance encounter with a makeup artist during a work event. She casually mentioned, lifting your brows slightly could make such a difference. At first, I hesitated. The idea of drawing on my eyebrows seemed risky. What if I ended up looking fake or overdone? What if people noticed and judged me for trying too hard? But deep down, I knew I couldn't ignore her advice any longer. This was my opportunity to reclaim my youthful glow, or so I hoped. With trembling hands, I picked up a brow pencil for the first time in years. Armed with newfound determination, I followed her tips meticulously. First, I chose a soft, natural shade, a warm brown that matched my hair color perfectly. Using tiny, feathery strokes, I mimicked the texture of real eyebrow hairs, carefully filling in sparse areas without going overboard. Then came the game-changing step, subtly lifting the arch ever so slightly. It was like flipping a switch inside me. The transformation was immediate. My eyes no longer looked weighed down. Instead, they sparkled with life and vitality. But I didn't stop there. I added another layer of magic by applying a touch of highlighter just below my brow bone. The effect was astonishing. It was as though someone had turned on a spotlight above my eyes, illuminating them and giving my entire face an instant lift. Friends started noticing almost immediately. Did you do something different? You look so refreshed, one colleague exclaimed. Another friend joked, are you secretly getting Botox? Your eyes look amazing. Looking back now, I can't believe I waited so long to address this seemingly small detail. Those eyebrows became more than just a beauty fix. They symbolized my journey towards self-love and acceptance. For years, I'd focused on hydration, skincare routines, and even facial massages, thinking those were enough. But sometimes it's the smallest changes that leave the biggest impact. Today, every time I glance in the mirror, I see a woman who's radiant, confident, and unapologetically herself, all thanks to the power of lifted brows. It was a crisp morning when I stood in front of the mirror, staring at my reflection with growing dread. My once prized jet black hair now hung lifelessly around my face, casting an ashen pallor over my skin. "She looks like she hasn't slept in weeks," I overheard a colleague whisper behind my back. The words stung like a slap across the face. It wasn't just their judgment. It was the undeniable truth glaring back at me from the glass. I felt ancient, drained, and utterly defeated by my own appearance. Desperation clawed at me as I realized how much my hair had become a symbol of everything I feared about aging. For years, I'd clung to the belief that dark, glossy hair would keep me looking youthful. But instead of framing my face beautifully, it made me look pale, tired, and far older than I truly was. Something had to change, or so I thought. Armed with determination and perhaps a touch of recklessness, I marched into the salon for a transformation. What came next was nothing short of a disaster. The stylist convinced me to try a trendy shade of blonde, assuring me it would brighten my complexion. But when I stepped out of the salon, I barely recognized myself. My hair wasn't golden or radiant. It was a garish, brassy yellow that screamed mistake louder than any alarm clock ever could. Strangers on the street glanced at me with pity, while friends politely asked if I had been experimenting with something new. Humiliation washed over me like a tidal wave. "I'll never show my face again," I muttered under my breath. I seriously considered wearing hats permanently. A lifetime sentence of hiding beneath fabric seemed preferable to facing the world with this catastrophe atop my head. But deep down, I knew I couldn't give up. Not yet. After days of research and consultations with trusted experts, I finally found salvation in caramel tones. The warm, honeyed hues transformed my entire demeanor, breathing life back into my skin and making my eyes sparkle with vitality. "This is what I've been missing all along," I whispered to myself as I admired my new look. To elevate the effect further, I opted for layers, soft, cascading ones that framed my face perfectly. Palettes of light danced through the strands, giving my hair dimension and movement. And then came the final touch, volumizing mousse. With each application, my hair gained lift, body, and bounce. It was as though someone had flipped a switch, turning me into a star straight out of a 1990s rom-com. When I walked into work the following Monday, jaws dropped. "What did you do?" one coworker exclaimed. Another simply stared, wide-eyed, before exclaiming, "You look incredible." For the first time in months, maybe even years, I felt unstoppable. My confidence soared and I carried myself with poise, knowing my hair no longer betrayed my age, but celebrated it instead. Every strand radiated strength, elegance, and timeless beauty. This wasn't just a makeover, it was a rebirth. It was supposed to be a perfect evening, a romantic dinner at a cozy restaurant, soft lighting casting a golden glow over everything. But then the question came out of nowhere, slicing through the ambiance like a sharp knife. "Do you smile often? Your teeth look a little yellowed," he said casually, his tone light but his words heavy. My heart sank as if I'd been punched in the gut. It wasn't just what he said, it was how it made me feel. That one comment hit a nerve, digging deep into an insecurity I had buried for years. My smile, once my proudest feature, now felt like a liability. For weeks after that night, I couldn't shake off the feeling of shame. I avoided smiling in photos, covered my mouth when laughing, and even started declining social invitations. Determined to fix the problem, I threw myself into researching solutions, high-end whitening kits, expensive toothpaste, professional treatments. Nothing was spared. But instead of transforming my teeth into pearly whites, these products left them sensitive and sore. The pain was unbearable, making me dread eating or drinking anything cold. Is this really my life now? I thought bitterly. Am I doomed to live with this dull, discolored smile forever? Desperation drove me to scour online forums, where I stumbled upon a simple yet promising remedy: baking soda and hydrogen peroxide. Skeptical but out of options, I decided to give it a try. Every night after brushing my teeth, I carefully mixed a small amount of baking soda with a drop of hydrogen peroxide, creating a paste. With trembling hands, I applied it gently, praying it wouldn't cause more damage. At first, nothing seemed different. But slowly, week by week, something miraculous began to happen. The yellow stains faded, replaced by a brighter, whiter shade that hadn't graced my teeth in years. For the first time in months, I caught myself smiling freely in front of the mirror. But I didn't stop there. Remembering the advice from earlier chapters about embracing natural beauty, I turned my attention to my lips. Matte lipsticks, though trendy, only emphasize the thinness of my lips, making my smile look incomplete. Switching to creamy, hydrating formulas in soft pink and peach tones transformed my entire look. A touch of gloss added volume, creating the illusion of fuller, plumper lips. Suddenly, my smile wasn't just white, it was radiant, youthful, and undeniably magnetic. The real test came during a work event. As I greeted colleagues, their eyes lit up. "Wow, your smile is stunning," one coworker exclaimed. Another asked, "Did you get your teeth done professionally?" Their compliments were music to my ears, validating that all the effort I'd put in. What started as a moment of humiliation had become a triumph, a testament to the power of perseverance and self-care. Now, whenever I flash my smile, I feel unstoppable. It's not just about looking good, it's about reclaiming my confidence and owning every inch of who I am. From hydration to facial massage, and now this transformative smile makeover, each step has brought me closer to the vibrant, fearless woman I strive to be. And as I walk through life with my head held high, I know one thing for sure: my smile isn't just a curve, it's a weapon. It was supposed to be the defining moment of my career, a major presentation in front of the entire company. But instead of basking in the applause I had envisioned, I found myself frozen under the weight of my director's piercing critique. "You look so unconfident standing like that," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Fix your posture." The room seemed to shrink around me as dozens of eyes turned toward my slouched figure. My cheeks burned with shame, and all I wanted to do was run out of the conference hall right then and there. That night, replaying the humiliation over and over in my mind, I realized something even more devastating. Years of hunching over desks, scrolling through phones, and ignoring my posture had aged me by at least a decade. I wasn't just slouching, I was carrying myself like someone who had given up on life. Am I doomed to carry this dowdy silhouette forever? I thought bitterly, staring at my reflection. My shoulders sagged forward, my neck jutted out unnaturally. Where was the poised, confident woman I once dreamed of becoming? Determined not to let this setback define me, I dove headfirst into research. Yoga and Pilates became my new best friends. Every morning I rolled out my mat, focusing on exercises designed to strengthen my core. the invisible foundation of good posture. At first, it felt impossible. My back ached from years of neglect, and holding myself upright required constant effort. There were days when I wanted to quit, convinced I'd never escape the prison of poor posture. But deep down, I knew giving up wasn't an option. To reinforce progress, I added small but impactful changes to my daily routine. A lumbar support pillow became a permanent fixture on my office chair, reminding me to sit tall even during endless hours at my desk. Sticky notes plastered across my monitor read, "Chin up," or "Shoulders back." Slowly but surely, the transformation began. My spine straightened, my chest opened up, and my movements grew fluid and graceful. Friends noticed immediately. "You look regal," one commented. Another joked, "Did you secretly enroll in finishing school?" Today, whether walking into a meeting or simply standing in line at the coffee shop, I radiate confidence. People no longer see a timid, defeated woman. They see someone who commands respect. Mastering posture wasn't just about looking elegant. It was about reclaiming control of how I presented myself to the world. And now I stand tall, ready to conquer anything life throws my way. It was during an old classmates reunion that the questions started pouring in. "What's your secret? Did you get a facelift or something?" my friends teased, their eyes wide with curiosity. I simply smiled enigmatically, knowing the truth wasn't tied to one magical product, but rather a holistic approach to self-care. But this journey hadn't always been smooth. Far from it. There was a time when I felt trapped in my own skin, convinced that aging had won the battle against me. Years earlier, desperate to reclaim my youthful glow, I had thrown money at every high-end skincare product on the market. Serums, creams, masks, you name it. I bought it, yet none delivered the promises they so boldly advertised. My frustration reached its peak when I tried an intense exfoliating scrub, hoping it would erase years of wear and tear. Instead, it left my face red, raw, and painfully irritated. That night, staring into the mirror, I broke down in tears. Is this it? Am I doomed to live with this tired, lifeless face forever? The thought terrified me. But life has a way of leading us to unexpected solutions. One evening, while scrolling through a beauty blog, a habit born out of sheer desperation, I stumbled upon two game-changing revelations: hyaluronic acid serum and facial massage. Skeptical yet hopeful, I decided to give them a try. Every morning and night, I applied a few drops of the serum onto damp skin, letting its hydrating magic seep deep into my pores. Then came the ritual of gently massaging my face, a practice that felt indulgent yet transformative. With upward strokes, I imagined lifting away years of stress and fatigue. Slowly, incredibly, my complexion began to shift. Fine lines softened, dullness faded, and my skin regained its elasticity. To amplify these efforts, I adopted habits I'd learned along the way. Drinking enough water, hydration truly is everything. Eating plenty of greens, and avoiding harsh chemicals. These small changes compounded over time, creating results far greater than any expensive cream ever could. Within weeks, I noticed a difference. Within months, I felt reborn. My skin was smoother, firmer, and radiantly alive, like spring after a long winter. When my friends marveled at how young I looked, I wanted to shout my secrets from the rooftops. This wasn't just about vanity, it was about reclaiming control over my body and embracing the art of self-love. Hydration, nourishment, and care weren't temporary fixes. They were lifelong commitments. And as I stood there smiling confidently amidst my peers, I realized something profound. Timeless beauty isn't found in a bottle. It's cultivated through patience, dedication, and love for oneself.